By pivoting means that either the original business model didn't work out, and entrepreneur is not giving up. They're looking for new opportunities, they're pivoting to new products, services, industry, markets, and they show that in the extension. That's a great thing. They're not giving up. So as long as the reason for the slower than expected performance could be explained or justified, the pivoting is oftentimes, in my experience, shown as a positive factor for E2 renewal, especially if they're still within the initial 5 years, because the regulation states that the E2 entrepreneur has up to 5 years to prove the success of their business. So if you're still within that 5 years, pivoting is not unusual, and entrepreneurship changing or mending or pivoting is very, very common. So there's pivoting situations where the original business has suffered, and they want to really change. That could be a good thing because it shows the future promise, future viability. It could be the original business did just fine, but they see growth potential in a related industry. It happens a lot in home industry businesses where they're selling complementary product or services and able to market, cross-sell to the same customers, expanding their revenue opportunities that way. Where pivoting becomes an issue is, especially with the USCIS, is where they make massive changes to the business and they wait a really long time before they file the E2 amendment or E2 extension. So they've been operating under the pivoted business that is massively different than the original business. And by the time they apply for the E2 extension, maybe half a year or longer have passed. And there's now a risk the adjudicating officer may say, you requested approval for your changes too late. You should have done it way earlier when you first started making the pivot, because we needed to approve your changes. Those are material changes. So it's a question of legal definition of what is a material or not. And I always tell clients after the E2 approval, please, if you're going to make any pivots or major changes, let's talk first. And depending on the scale and extent of the pivot or change, I might recommend that we reapply for a new E2 visa or amended status immediately to avoid the risk of being accused of violating or failing to maintain your status. But if they're keeping the original business, they're just adding additional business, then I feel less nervous about waiting until renewal time to show the pivot.